Okay guys, I'm back, and after 4 hours of tweaking, I think I've got it pretty dialed in. I spent quite a bit of time making sure all the axes were as level as I could get them before I started my bed leveling. And I've noticed primarily that wire guide in the back that everybody seems to be using, and it came with my S model, causes extra tension on the spring in that back corner. And I think I've gotten around it, but I'm going to try and design something a little better that doesn't cause as much tension. But we'll see what happens after my first print. I spent some more time making sure the distances between my axis, the front of the frame and the center of the frame, were aligned. They were pretty dialed in, just off by a hair. The bigger issue I noticed was that my center axis was not centered based on the distance from left to right and right to left. Both front and back were off quite a bit, so I loosened up the 2 screws in the front and the 2 screws in the back and recentered those. I happen to have a long 12-inch, I don't know what this tool is called, but I use this long one to dial that in, and I think I've got everything pretty set up. I spent probably 45 minutes bed leveling, and I think these paper clips are causing a bigger problem with the center being dipped, if you want to call it that. The pressure from those makes the bed actually bow, because without them and without any tension on the springs, my bed is perfectly flat. So I've seen some clips on Thingiverse. I may try those, but for now I'm going to set it and leave it the way it is and see how my first test print comes together. The other issue is that my enclosure and the distance from the control unit to the wires may be a problem with taller prints. I've noticed that my wires here that are connected to the Z axis, is it the Z? Shit, I don't know. Are probably going to be too short, so I suspect that a wire extension kit is in my near future, but for the first few test prints I should have plenty of clearance. So other first impressions, you know, the unit, it looks like it's very well built. I can see why people are spending time and money on upgrading the fans, probably the extruder nozzle, the extruder itself, and you know, the other components that make that up. You know, I don't know much about these initially here, but it doesn't look like to me that is of really high quality. So we'll see how things print before I decide on whether or not I want to start to and invest in that effort. So anyway, you know, this it's been a little bit of a challenging experience initially here. I got confused with some of the wires. My X, Y's, and Z's were backwards, so I fixed that. My other challenge, as I can see from here, is going to be the actual filament and where I'm going to cut the plexiglass to allow for that to come in without any tension. Don't know if I'm going to do that from the top or the bottom yet, or try and pull a pulley in there or a wheel or something in there that it can move on. But I can tell initially that I'm probably going to have some issues with that. So it's almost midnight here, so I'm not going to print anything this evening. And tomorrow's Halloween, so the kids will have my time. So this is probably going to be a Wednesday, Thursday before I can print anything. I don't want to leave this unattended on the initial run in case something is not done correctly. I had initially planned on videotaping the taking apart and the putting back together and all that stuff, but there's enough of that out there, so this is just going to be my initial thoughts, input, and just some of the things that I did. So I'll be back when I have a print, and we'll see how things come together. Thanks for watching. Take care.